Raw took place in Omaha, Nebraska. To start the show off, Roman Reigns was seen arriving. He was met by Adam Pearce backstage in Gorilla, who told him that Jacob Fatu wasn't there yet. Then Seth Rollins goes out instead, walking past Roman, but he's jumped by Braun Breaker from behind on the ramp. Braun was held back by security and some referees, but then he broke away and he hit a spear on Seth Rollins in the ring. Then we had Judgment Day backstage when Liv Morgan and all the current members were there, but you had Liv Morgan confront Roxanne Perez about talking to Finn Balor last week. Roxanne would promise Liv that she'll never keep any secrets from the Judgment Day again. So clearly they're going to build something where Roxanne eventually breaks away and turns face against Liv. I think it's likely that she's going to win the Women's Money in the Bank, and maybe she'll cash in on Liv Morgan, a la Tiffany Stratton cashing in on Nia Jax last year. I think that's where we can probably expect to see. That's what we can expect to see with Liv and Roxanne. And that's unfortunate because I really like the two of them as a pairing, but I think probably Roxanne's going to go face. So I needed to share this. There was some really sad news in wrestling this past week, and I'm not talking about the releases, including the New Day, but this is really, truly awful news. Rebel from AEW, she hasn't wrestled there since 2024, and she's had a lot of health issues, and she was recently diagnosed with cancer. Now, recently, she was diagnosed, and she announced this weekend, I believe. Rebel announced she's been diagnosed with terminal ALS, and that's just terrible news. I don't know how much time she has left, but this is it's essentially going to be a situation where there can't be a recovery from that. It's only a question of how much time she has left, and she's only 47 years old, which is just, it's horrible news. It's very sad, and all I can say is I hope she's as comfortable as possible in her final days. So, yeah, definitely the best wishes to Rebel's family and, of course, to herself, and I hope she's as comfortable as possible. Just very sad news. Now, getting back to the show, and you know what, I guess I can just address this too. The releases. I did a video on it. You can check it out. I'll be honest. I don't like watching these shows anymore because I hate TKO so much. I hate them. I can't stand them. I despise them. They are such penny pinchers. These greedy motherfucking bastards. I hope the wrestlers unionize against these scumbags, and maybe it's going to take something like TKO, a true just greedy penny pinching entity like it, for a wrestling union to come to form. Because I think the McMahons wouldn't be as stupid to do this, because they're making a mistake, TKO. But with the way they treated the New Day, anyone else who just signed a long-term deal is now going to be worried, and it might cause a situation where the wrestlers finally come together. Because if you signed a long-term deal with WWE in the last couple of years, they're going to ask you to renegotiate probably at one point or another. So now is the best time to come together. So yeah, but the New Day stuff really sucks. I'm sure they'll be fine. It's like, it's not a situation with them per se, because you know they're going to go to AEW, they'll make a lot of money, but they sign long-term deals, and they're, you know, essentially told take a pay cut, or else. And they said, "Fuck off. We want to release this," and they took it, and they're out. And if WWE doesn't want them, or TKO doesn't want us to pay them long-term, don't sign them to a long-term 5-year deal last year. You know, all those contracts now are bullshit. They can just cut you at any time, or they can say, "Hey, restructure your deal, or else," or you know, they essentially forced them out. And the other one's JC Mateo. Again, I don't want to talk about everything. You can check out my my video. I talked about the recent releases and the Tongaloa one, so I wanted to bring that up. But now, going back to the show, you had Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Roxanne Perez came out, and then Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez came out after her. And Dominic Mysterio was already there. He was interfering in a match. He was eventually ejected. But then Liv distracted the referee, and as she handed Roxanne Perez the timekeeper's hammer, and this gave her the essentially the hammer to ring the bell, and that's when Roxanne Perez hit Finn Balor with the ring hammer, allowing JD to hit his finisher and pin him 1, 2, 3, and then they celebrated the win. All three of the ladies, Liv, Roxanne, and Raquel, celebrating with JD after he defeats Finn Balor. So I don't know where Finn goes from here, losing to JD McDonough. That's not good. And Finn signed a long-term deal, I believe, recently in the last couple of years. He's older, too. He's over 40. Well over 40. You don't think TKO might not look at Finn Balor and say, hey, Finn, take a pay cut? Or else. And they're going to ask him. I can see that right away. And losing to JD McDonough, no offense to JD, on Raw, it's not a good sign. So Jackie Redmond interviewed Seth Rollins backstage. And Jackie did this a lot tonight where she had multiple interviews backstage. And not that I'm complaining, but she kind of did the same thing. And I was a little bit surprised. I think she would be busy right now covering the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, actually. But I'm glad to see her on Raw. At least I don't know how much longer she's going to be on Raw this summer because she's going to she has other commitments with the NHL. But nice to see Jackie tonight. The announcers put over the Tongan Death Grip for Jacob Fatu. Division were backstage. Paul Heyman walks in. Logan Paul actually really wants to go after Joe Hendry. Penta was out next. And they had Penta and Javon Evans against Ethan Page and Rusev. Page and Rusev got the win. We see Sol Ruka walking backstage, heading to the ring. Then when we come back from break, Adam Pearce was in the ring to introduce Sol Ruka to sign her new Raw contract. And she comes out, and of course, she has new theme music, which sucks. Her theme music really fit her in NXT. It's one of the few good themes in NXT because it fit her character really well. She's a surfer. She has a surfer's song. And now, instead, it's like the most generic Def Rebel shit. And it's just, again, it goes back to the greed of TKO. Well, they're going to pay Def Rebel, even though the wrestlers' themes absolutely suck because they're a cheap band. You get cheap bands like you have when you buy cheap items. A lot of times they break on you. And a lot of times with Def Rebel, because they're cheap, there's no good songs because they're not talented. They're cheap for a reason because they suck. Like, it's very poor quality. A lot of times when you want to go cheap, you're going to get poor quality. And, Def Rebel is cheap because they are not good. A better band would charge you. I don't even like CFOs that much, and I think they were great. I would take CFOs in a heartbeat over Def Rebel. They were way better than Def Rebel. Def Rebel is the worst. Already Sol Ruka has a bad issue already with her song, but she came out, and then she was later interrupted by Becky Lynch, who has her own theme music separate. And, of course, she has it from the Wonder Years, an actual band. So Becky was complaining to Pierce, and then Sol stands up to Becky, calling her a big-headed bitch. Then Becky went to strike Sol Ruka. She missed, and she actually hit Adam Pearce by mistake. And then Sol Ruka hit the Soul Snatcher on Becky. She kind of botched it, though. But they recovered in time. So I guess we're going to get Becky Lynch and Sol Ruka eventually. Not at Backlash, but we will get that match in the near future. Jackie Redmond interviewed the Usos backstage. They say it's family business, the issues with Jacob Fatu. Joe Hendry was out next. He sings, "Can we fire Logan Paul?" And I don't know if it's the best time to talk about people getting fired, but all the fans love it. They all like chanting, "Can we fire Logan Paul?" Then Logan Paul and Austin Theory came out. Logan Paul had to mention TKO just to get heat. That's what he does. Then he had Joe Hendry against Austin Theory. This match was okay, but Logan Paul attacked Joe Hendry, causing a disqualification. And they attack him, they beat him down. Before the Street Profits make the save, Braun Breaker comes out and destroys the Profits. But then Seth Rollins comes out, attacks Braun. He goes for a curb stomp, but then Montez Ford just dives over Seth Rollins and does a senton to everyone on the outside. That distracts Rollins, and he gets speared by Braun Breaker. So Braun laying out Rollins. I think Braun's going to beat Seth at Backlash, by the way, and I'll do my predictions later in the week. Jackie Redmond interviewed the Judgment Day backstage. Raquel and Roxanne want the tag team titles. They want another shot at them after they lost them back at SummerSlam, I believe. And then Bayley and Lara Valkyria walk in. They also want title shots. Oba Femi headed to the ring next. We get the Oba Femi Open Challenge. Alpha Academy comes out to accept. Otis takes the challenge instead of Tozawa, who was basically teasing he was going to take the challenge, but I don't think anyone really thought he would. And we got Oba Femi against Otis, so Oba crushes him. He hits the fall from grace, and all I thought was that they put Otis in there for a reason. It almost seems like they're writing off Otis's character. Like, I was thinking, are they going to fire Otis? If I were Otis, I would not check my phone this Friday. I would turn off all my phones on Friday. So Seth Rollins was arguing with the Street Profits backstage and Joe Hendry, who was there with them. And then you had Roman talking to Adam Pearce backstage. And then we see Jacob Fatu arriving. Then we go to an Io Sky and Asuka sit-down video promo ahead of their match. Adam Pearce was there, and this was a pre-recorded segment to prevent the fans from chanting for Kairi Sane like they did last week. That's why I thought they did it like this. Asuka ended up spraying mist into Io Sky, so they're building up their match. Look, I'd be excited if I thought they would actually get time. I don't think they're going to get time because, a TKO show nowadays, especially with the ESPN deal, and I don't watch on ESPN, I watch on Netflix in Canada, but because of Netflix, we're getting because of ESPN, we're getting all these ads during the shows, so it's going to be a bad situation where a lot of the matches just aren't going to get time. Roman Reigns is going to get a lot of time. Seth Rollins will probably get time with Braun Breaker, at least 15 minutes or so. And, the Asuka and Io just aren't going to get that much time. They'll probably still have a good match because both are so good. But, my expectations are not high. And I don't buy into the thing that they're going to bring back Kairi Sane. I think Kairi's probably gone. So you had Jackie Redmond interviewing Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, and they're all under the Americano masks. I think Chad Gable is definitely losing the mask on the 31st of May when he faces the Kaiser Americano. And Gable is now the heel, and Kaiser is the face on WWE TV. I know on AAA it was already like that, but on WWE, Gable is back to being the heel. We had the 6-man tag match. I'll be honest, I don't give a shit about the Americano stuff. I just skipped through it. Okay, I don't give a fuck. Now, the announcers previewed Backlash. Roman Reigns was out next, and Jacob Fatu came out. And we have the Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu contract signing for Backlash. The fans are fully behind Roman. He demanded respect from Jacob. Roman signs it, and then he tells Jacob he's beneath him, who then attacks him. He tries to put the tongue and death grip on. Roman fights it off, but eventually Jacob gets it back on, and he tries to drove Roman through the table, which didn't work. It just didn't break, and it actually looked like it was a worse bump for Roman because the table didn't break, and that's how Raw ended. Not a very good show tonight. Not awful, but not spectacular. Just it is what it is. During the Paul Levesque era, people are calling this the Ruthless Depression era. I think it's a situation where TKO has just killed everything because I think my biggest issue is I can't get excited for Backlash because of what I just went through with WrestleMania, with literally getting fucking commercials during WrestleFrickin' Mania. You don't think they'll do the same thing for every PLE now? And it's just going to suck because so much of the time for this PLE is going to go to commercials. And it's hard for me to really care that much because, well, why am I supposed to be excited for these matches when they're just not going to get time? I don't think Io and Asuka are getting a lot of time. The other match is a Danhausen match. I don't give a fuck about that. The SmackDown matches suck, by the way. They're garbage. There's a Danhausen match. I don't even know what the 5th match is. Oh, it's Trick Williams and Sami Zayn, who didn't really have a very good match at WrestleMania either. So I'm not excited for Backlash. Maybe that's why I wasn't that into this Raw, because it was the go-home show, and I'm just not that into this show this year. So I don't give a fuck about all these goddamn commercials. They're going to get the backlash. The only backlash WWE is going to get is from the fans for all the damn fucking commercials. But then again, people complained after WrestleMania, nothing changed. So I doubt they will do anything after a backlash. So I'm not that excited. And the TKO is just, man, they've really, it's one thing where I hear, them being, their presence alone, TKO's presence has really soured a WWE product, and I hate them and I want them gone, and it just sucks. They are really just the ultimate heel in wrestling right now, and I hate them, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's really soured the product even more so now, and all I can say is fuck TKO.